The great chamber of the Galactic Council was shaped like a vast circle, with each seat rising in tiers of stone and light. From above, the chamber looked like a star surrounded by glowing arcs. It was a place where the leaders of many worlds came together to speak, to argue, and to decide the laws of the stars. For centuries, the strongest species had ruled the council, while weaker ones struggled for a voice. This day was different. A new delegation walked into the chamber. Humanity had been invited for the very first time. Myra, the human diplomat, stepped forward with calm steps. She was dressed in a plain suit with a silver crest of Earth on her shoulder. She carried no weapons, no ornaments, and no guards. Behind her were two quiet aides, who held tablets filled with human records. Myra's eyes studied the chamber as she moved toward the center. She knew that many alien eyes were already mocking her, yet her face showed only calm strength. As she stood at the central podium, the chamber filled with voices. Some alien leaders clicked their tongues in laughter. Others spoke openly in their own languages, mocking the human race. A tall insectoid with 6 glittering eyes leaned forward and spoke through the translator. Humans are too soft. Their bodies break in battle. Their ships crawl like insects. Why do we waste time with them? The chamber echoed with laughter. A massive reptilian commander slammed his claw on the stone rail. His voice carried across the hall. Humans are farmers and traders. They have no fleet to defend themselves. They will always be servants to those who are stronger. The laughter grew louder, filling the chamber like rolling thunder. A group of avian creatures flapped their wings in amusement, while a crystal-skinned envoy clapped her shining hands. Myra stood in silence, listening to every word. She did not raise her voice. She did not show anger. Her aides shifted uncomfortably, but she gave them a small glance that told them to stay calm. When the laughter began to fade, Myra finally spoke. Her voice was steady, her tone soft but clear enough to reach every corner of the chamber. Humanity came here not to beg, not to crawl, and not to serve. We came to listen. We came to learn. And we came to speak when the time is right. A sharp hiss came from the reptilian commander. Speak. What will humans speak about? You cannot stand against the fleets of the core worlds. You cannot match the knowledge of the star scholars. What wisdom can come from a world of children? Again, laughter filled the chamber. Myra's gaze swept across the tiers of alien leaders. She saw no kindness in their eyes. She saw only pride and arrogance. But she was not shaken. Every great power, she answered, was once weak. Every ruler was once ignored. Humanity may not hold the oldest stars, but we hold something greater than you believe. You measure strength only in claws, in weapons, and in numbers. We measure strength in unity, in patience, and in the will to endure. When the storm comes, we will not be the ones who break. The words echoed for a moment. Some aliens looked uneasy. Others laughed again, dismissing her speech as empty courage. The insectoid envoy clicked his mandibles and leaned closer. You speak boldly, human. Yet words cannot shield you. Where are your fleets? Where are your weapons? Show them if they exist. Myra gave no answer. She simply stood, hands resting on the podium. Her silence was not weakness but a shield. Her eyes carried a calm fire that unsettled those who watched too closely. At last, the speaker of the council, a tall figure robed in flowing energy threads, raised his staff. The chamber quieted. Humanity has spoken. The council will decide if their voice holds weight among the stars. Until then, let the records show that humanity has joined this assembly. With a strike of his staff, the meeting ended. Alien leaders began to leave, their laughter trailing through the halls like echoes of mockery. Myra stood alone for a moment, letting the sound fade. Her aides came closer, their faces troubled. Why did you not answer them with our plans? One whispered. Because, Myra said softly, they do not need to hear words. They need to see proof. And when the time comes, they will see it. Until then, let them laugh. Laughter is light compared to what is waiting in the dark. Her words were calm, but in her eyes burned a hidden truth. Humanity had not come unprepared. For decades, in the shadows of the seventh sector, something powerful had been forged. The galaxy did not yet know, but one day the laughter would end. Myra turned and walked out of the chamber with steady steps. The council might see her as small and powerless, but she carried within her the weight of a secret that could shake every throne in that hall. The age of mockery would not last forever. The council chamber had fallen silent after Myra's words, but silence never lasted long in the galaxy. Soon, whispers began to travel through the corridors and over the comms between alien delegates. The humans had been calm, too calm, and this made some uneasy. In the high halls of the Crystal Envoys, two diplomats spoke in secret. Their voices echoed softly as their crystal skin reflected faint light. Did you hear her? She said strength comes in patience and endurance. What did she mean by that? The other envoy gave a faint laugh. It was only words. Humans always try to sound deeper than they are. They have no real power. Their fleets are small, their ships weak. I do not believe they hide anything. Yet even as he spoke, doubt flickered in his glowing eyes. Across the city that surrounded the Galactic Council, in shaded marketplaces and taverns where traders gathered, stories began to rise. Rumors of something hidden by humans spread from one mouth to another. Some claimed that humanity had built a secret fleet in the farthest reaches of space. Others said it was a single warship that had never been seen. All pointed toward a region of space known as the Seventh Sector. The Seventh Sector was a dark corner of the galaxy, wrapped in clouds of unstable energy. Alien scanners often failed there, and few dared to enter. It was said that ships could vanish in its storms, never to return. For centuries, most avoided it. But humans had settled near its edge, building stations and outposts under the guise of mining operations. Few paid attention to these movements, for humanity was thought to be weak. Now the whispers grew louder. On a high balcony, the reptilian commander who mocked Myra at the council stood with his officers. His scaled hand gripped the rail as he gazed over the city lights. These rumors of a seventh fleet, he growled, they are lies. Humans cannot build in secret. They lack the skill. Their technology is behind ours by centuries. One of his younger officers spoke carefully. Yet, Commander, they are patient. Their silence at the council unsettled many. What if they truly hide something? The commander laughed with a low hiss. If they hide anything, it will be dust and broken hulls. I do not fear them. But deep inside, even he could not shake the faint seed of doubt. Back on Earth, Myra entered a quiet chamber where the Earth Council waited. These were not the mocking voices of aliens but the steady leaders of her people. They listened as she reported the laughter, the insults, and the whispers that followed. They do not believe in us, Myra said, her voice calm but firm. They mock us. They think we are weak. But their whispers show fear. They remember the rumors. They speak of the Seventh Fleet even though they call it a lie. One of the older counselors, a man with silver hair and weary eyes, leaned forward. That is good. Let them whisper. Fear is a tool. When the time comes, proof will silence their laughter. Myra nodded. She thought of the hidden shipyards in the seventh sector. Generations of workers had lived and died there, building in silence. Families had given everything to shape a fleet that no alien eye had seen. It was not built for conquest but for survival. Humanity had learned long ago that to survive in a galaxy filled with stronger species, they needed something powerful, something hidden until the right moment. The chamber lights dimmed as the counselors spoke of patience, of timing, and of caution. For now, the secret must remain buried. humanity would continue to walk quietly among the stars while the others laughed. Far away, in the taverns of a mining colony, a group of alien traders drank and argued. One swore that he had seen a shadow moving through the 7th sector, larger than any mining station. Another claimed his cousin's ship had scanned unusual energy in that region before vanishing without trace. A third laughed and said it was only human tricks, empty rumors to make themselves sound dangerous. Yet no one could deny that the stories spread faster each day. The 7th sector, once ignored, now drew attention. Still, no one dared to enter its storms to confirm the truth. The risk was too great. And so, the whispers lived on, growing stronger with every retelling. In her private quarters that night, Myra stood before the window, looking out at the stars. The laughter of the council still echoed in her memory, but so did the whispers. She knew that soon the galaxy would no longer laugh. When the time was right, the hidden would be revealed, and humanity's place among the stars would change forever. Until then, the 7th Fleet remained a shadow. And shadows had power. Beneath the surface of Earth, hidden far below the busy cities and quiet towns, there were chambers that few had ever seen. These chambers were built during the early days of humanity's first steps into space. They were carved into stone and reinforced with steel so strong that no signal from above could pass through. In these halls, the most secret work of humanity was guarded. Myra walked through a long corridor that glowed with pale blue lights. On each side, doors opened into rooms filled with records. Some held maps of distant stars. Others stored designs of ships never shown to the galaxy. At the end of the corridor, a heavy door opened, and Myra stepped into the Council of Records. Inside, a circle of men and women sat around a glowing table. They were not warriors but guardians of knowledge. Some were old, their faces lined with years of worry. Others were young, trained to keep the memory of every insult, every threat, and every danger humanity had faced in the stars. On the table lay dozens of small devices, each holding a recording. Myra took her seat, and the chamber fell silent. The leader of the council, a woman named Hannah, lifted one of the devices and pressed her hand against it. The recording came to life. The image of an alien fleet filled the air above the table. Sharp vessels with glowing engines fired upon a human transport ship. Sparks scattered across the recording as the human vessel broke apart. The sound of alien voices followed, laughing as the ship was destroyed. This was near the belt of Farah, Hannah said, her voice heavy. They claimed it was an accident. But the crew of that transport knew otherwise. They fired to test our weakness. Another recording was played. This one showed an alien commander speaking to his soldiers. His words, translated into human language, cut through the room like cold steel. Humans will never rise. Their worlds will be ours if we ever desire them. They cannot stand against the fleets of the stars. The recording faded, but the words lingered. Myra felt the weight of each sentence, not as new wounds but as reminders of the path humanity had walked. One by one, more recordings were shown. Ships harassed on trade routes. Colonies mocked by visiting envoys. Human technology dismissed as primitive. Each insult, each loss, and each act of cruelty had been stored in these chambers, waiting to remind the council of why they had chosen a harder road. When the last recording ended, Hannah looked around the table. Her eyes, though tired, still burned with quiet fire. "We were never given a choice," she said. "If we wished to survive, we had to prepare. We could not fight openly, for they would have crushed us before we could rise. So we hid our work. We built where their eyes could not see. And in the storms of the 7th sector, we shaped something that would carry the will of every human who ever lived under their laughter." Myra bowed her head in respect. She remembered the hidden shipyards, vast as cities, where workers labored day and night. Children grew up under the shadow of incomplete hulls, learning that their play would one day give way to duty. Generations had poured their strength into the construction of ships no alien had seen. They built not for glory but for the promise of survival. Hannah pressed her hand once more against the table. This time, a different image appeared. It was not an insult, not an attack, but a vision. A warship still under construction filled the air above the table. Its size was immense, its shape sharp yet elegant. It carried the name Unity's Flame. Though unfinished, even the image of its frame stirred the hearts of those who watched. This, Hannah whispered, is the answer to their laughter. This is why we endured in silence. And this is why the seventh sector became our shield. The council members bowed their heads. Myra lifted her eyes and spoke. The galaxy mocks us because it does not know us. But when this ship sails from the storms of the seventh, they will see. Every insult will fall silent. Every doubt will turn to fear. And humanity will no longer be a shadow in their halls. We will be a voice they cannot ignore. For a moment, the chamber was still. Only the hum of the lights filled the silence. Then Hannah nodded, her voice steady. Until that day, we wait. The time is close, but not yet. Patience has always been our weapon, and patience will carry us to victory. The old recordings faded back into their small devices. Each was placed carefully into its case, as though guarding a treasure. The chamber lights dimmed again, and the council members rose from their seats. Myra remained for a while, staring at the final image of Unity's Flame. The ship was still incomplete, but in her heart she already saw it crossing the stars, silencing the laughter of the council forever. As she left the chamber and walked back through the long corridor, she knew the galaxy was blind to what waited in the storms. Humanity had not forgotten a single insult, and humanity had not wasted a single moment. The old recordings were not just history. They were the reason the future had been built in secret. And soon, the galaxy would learn what patience and unity could create. The chambers of the Galactic Council had not changed since Myro last stood there. The towering pillars of light still glowed along the circular walls, and the seats of alien leaders still rose in wide tiers that looked down upon the central podium. Yet to Myra, the room felt different now. She had walked through the old recordings, she had seen again the proof of every insult and every wound carried by humanity. She did not come this time with silence alone. She came prepared. As she entered the chamber, a low murmur moved through the seats. The alien leaders recognized her. Some laughed softly, remembering the human who had spoken of unity and endurance. Others whispered with narrowed eyes, recalling the rumors that still drifted from the seventh sector. Though no one admitted it, those whispers had begun to trouble even the strongest rulers. Myra stepped into the center. Her simple suit bore the crest of Earth once more. She carried no weapon, but her presence felt heavier than before. The Speaker of the Council raised his staff, and the voices quieted. "Human envoy," the Speaker said, "the Council grants you this moment to speak. The voices of the stars are listening. Use it well." Before Myra could answer, a reptilian commander rose from his seat. His scales shimmered under the light as he pointed one sharp claw toward her. "Why should we listen? Last time, this human gave us riddles about storms and patience. Words without teeth. Humans remain farmers and traders, not rulers. They still have no fleet worth our notice." His words stirred laughter among his allies. The avian delegates spread their wings and called out in mocking tones. The insectoid envoy clicked his mandibles in rhythm, creating a sound like rattling chains. The laughter rose again, echoing through the chamber as it had before. Myro let the sound wash over her without reply. She waited, calm as stone, until the chamber grew quiet again. Then she lifted her gaze and spoke with a clear, steady voice. "You call us farmers, and it is true that we have grown our food with our own hands. You call us traders, and it is true that we have exchanged with those willing to meet us in peace. You call us weak, and it is true that we have bled and suffered under your laughter. But you mistake silence for weakness. You mistake patience for fear. And you mistake humanity's will to endure as a lack of strength. Her words cut through the chamber. Some alien leaders shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The reptilian commander bared his teeth in anger. Bold words, human. But where is your proof? Show us the strength you claim to hold. Or admit that you are nothing more than dust carried by the winds of stronger stars. Myra raised her chin. Her voice grew firmer. You want proof? Very well. Look to the skies beyond this council chamber. Even now, a signal has been sent. Even now, the silence you mock is about to end. For years you have laughed at humanity. Today you will see what we have built in the storms you feared to enter. The chamber stirred. Delegates leaned forward, their voices rising in disbelief. The insectoid envoy snapped his wings in agitation. The avian creatures shifted nervously, whispering among themselves. Only the speaker remained silent, his glowing eyes fixed upon Myra. Outside the chamber, in the void of space, sensors began to awaken. Across the great stations of the council world, alarms rang softly as something vast approached the system. At first, it was no more than a shadow. Then it grew, larger than any trader ship, larger than any known vessel humans were thought capable of building. Myra did not look at the screens or the signals. She kept her gaze steady upon the council. You asked where our fleets are. You asked where our weapons are. You laughed at the thought that we could stand beside you. Now you will see. We have not come to beg. We have come to show you that we will never bow. The chamber filled with noise. Some shouted in disbelief, others demanded answers, while a few fell silent in sudden fear. Myra stood in the center, calm and unmoving, as the weight of her words pressed upon every leader in the hall. The speaker lifted his staff again, and the voices died down. His tone carried no laughter. Something approaches, he said slowly. If it is what you claim, human, then the galaxy itself is about to change. Myra gave a single nod. Her eyes shone with quiet fire. Then let the galaxy see. Let them remember this day. The day humanity stopped being a shadow in your halls. The day we stepped forward as equals. And far above, beyond the clouds of the council world, the first outline of Unity's flame began to break through the void, its vast frame glowing with the power of generations who had labored in silence. The age of laughter was ending. The skies above the council world began to tremble with light. At first, it was faint, like a shimmer on the horizon. But then, from the dark edge of space, something vast broke through. The alien delegates turned toward the great screens that hung above the council chamber. These screens, linked to the planet's orbital sensors, showed the object in clear detail. The shadow was no ordinary vessel. It was larger than the stations that circled the world. Its shape was sharp and proud, with lines that carried both elegance and strength. Gasps spread through the chamber. Whispers rose into fearful voices. For centuries, humans had been mocked as weak and fragile. Yet here, before the eyes of every leader, a warship unlike any other emerged. The name carved into its hull glowed faintly as light from the nearby star touched it. The ship was called Unity's Flame. Its armor shone with silver steel reinforced by patterns unknown to the alien eyes. Energy shields rippled across its surface like waves of light. Along its sides, rows of weapons pulsed, ready but silent. Its engines burned with steady power, carrying the weight of 1,000 years of hidden work. The reptilian commander who had mocked Myra stood frozen. His scaled hands gripped the railing so tightly that cracks formed beneath his claws. He could not believe what he saw. This cannot be, he hissed. Humans cannot build this. They do not have the knowledge, the resources, or the will. But the proof filled the sky. The warship moved with calm precision, not rushing, not stumbling, but gliding as if the stars themselves opened to guide it. The insectoid envoy leaned forward, mandibles clicking nervously. That hull, it is thicker than our dreadnoughts. The shields, they bend light itself. This is no trick. This is real. Myra stood in the center of the chamber, her hands folded calmly in front of her. She did not smile, but her voice carried the strength of her people. You asked for proof. Here it is. Unity's flame, built in silence, forged in the storms of the 7th sector, hidden from your eyes while you mocked us. You thought our patience was weakness, but patience built this vessel. Generations gave their lives so that one day humanity would stand as more than a shadow. The avian leaders, once laughing, were now silent. Their wings twitched uneasily. One of them whispered to another, "It is larger than any ship we have built." How could they hide this? Outside, the warship continued its slow path toward the planet. It did not fire. It did not threaten. Its presence alone was enough to silence centuries of mockery. In the chamber, voices began to rise in fear. Some demanded that the council prepare defenses. Others shouted for calm. The speaker of the council struck his staff against the ground, and the noise fell silent. "Human envoy," he said, his voice heavy, "this ship is beyond what we believed your kind could create. Tell us its purpose. Is it a weapon of war or a shield of peace?" Myra lifted her gaze, her tone steady. "It is both. It is a shield to guard us against those who seek to break us. It is a weapon to remind the galaxy that humanity will not kneel. We did not build it for conquest. We built it because your laughter was never harmless. Your fleets tested us. Your words wounded us. We learned that if we did not prepare, we would vanish. So we prepared. And now you see the truth." Her words carried across the hall, reaching even the most distant tiers. No one laughed now. No one mocked. The sight of Unity's flame filled every mind with unease and respect. The reptilian commander finally spoke again, though his voice shook with hidden anger. "If this ship is so strong, then prove it. Show us that it is not just size and shine. Show us its power." The speaker's eyes narrowed at the challenge, but Myra did not flinch. "You will see soon enough," she said. "But understand this. Humanity does not reveal its strength to amuse you. We reveal it because the time of mockery is over. The council must decide whether to see us as equals or as enemies. We leave that choice to you." Outside, the warship turned slowly, its engines glowing like a sunrise in the void. Each movement showed discipline, not arrogance. It was not a monster unleashed but a promise of what humanity could do when pushed too far. For the first time in the long history of the Council, fear and respect blended into silence. The galaxy had seen something it could not explain, something it could not ignore. Myra remained calm in the center of it all, carrying the weight of her people with quiet pride. The age of weakness had ended. The age of humanity's voice had begun. The silence that followed the emergence of Unity's flame was heavy in the Galactic Council chamber. Alien leaders, who had spent centuries mocking humanity, now struggled to understand the presence of the enormous warship hovering outside their world. Fear mingled with curiosity, and whispers spread like a storm across the tiers of seats. Above the planet, the human warship glided with calm precision. Its size alone was enough to make the largest alien dreadnoughts look small. Yet it carried no immediate threat. Its engines pulsed steadily, shields glowing in patterns that no alien technology could match. Every detail spoke of careful planning, generations of effort, and a purpose that had been kept hidden for decades. A reptilian commander, the same one who had mocked Myra repeatedly, leaned forward, his claws gripping the edge of his seat. His voice was low, yet it carried across the chamber. "Enough words. If this ship is what they claim, then it must prove itself. Call your fleets forward. Test them. Show the galaxy that humans are not illusions." Myra's gaze remained calm. She did not raise her voice, but her tone carried quiet strength. "We do not seek unnecessary war," she said. But if our strength is tested, we will respond. Humanity will never bow, and we will never flee. Outside, the first alien fleet moved. Hundreds of ships, sharp and gleaming, advanced with confidence. Their commanders assumed that the humans would panic, that they would be crushed under the weight of superior numbers. They did not know that patience and strategy were humanity's greatest weapons. The aliens opened fire first. Energy beams tore through the void, striking at the human warship. Shields flared and bent light around the hull of Unity's flame. The weapons hit, but the ship did not falter. It moved with grace, avoiding the brunt of the attacks with maneuvers so precise that the aliens could not anticipate them. Inside the council chamber, the alien delegates watched in disbelief. Even those who had never doubted humans felt a tremor of fear. Their translators failed to convey the awe in their voices. The warship was not only surviving, it was thriving under attack. Myra's calm eyes studied the fleet. She knew that patience was the key. She spoke into the council comms, her voice carrying the authority of her people. Observe closely. This is not mere power. This is discipline. This is the unity of every human who ever worked to build this vessel. You attack, but you cannot divide us. Every strike you launch is met with reason, with calculation, and with precision. You see strength, but you do not yet understand it. On the screens above the chamber, the battle continued. Alien ships fell one by one, struck by beams that moved faster than the eye could track. Missiles approached, only to be intercepted with careful timing. Unity's flame demonstrated that strength was not only in raw firepower but also in intelligence, coordination, and resilience. The avian delegates flapped nervously, unable to hide their shock. One whispered to another, "They are not fighting recklessly. Every move is exact. They have predicted every attack." The insectoid envoy clicked its mandibles repeatedly, sending vibrations through its body. It spoke softly, yet the message was clear. This is not mere chance. They have studied us. They know our tactics better than we know ourselves. In the council chamber, the speaker finally addressed Myra. "Human envoy, your fleet has demonstrated capability beyond expectation. Are you prepared to negotiate peace now that your strength is proven?" Myra's response was calm, unwavering. "We have never sought to conquer. We have only prepared to defend ourselves. Humanity does not desire war, but we will not surrender to mockery or threats. The time has come for respect to replace laughter." Outside, the last alien ship approached, thinking it could strike a final blow. The warship anticipated its path, and a single beam disabled the ship without destruction, leaving it drifting and powerless. The demonstration was clear: humanity's power was not for senseless destruction. It was for defense, for survival, and for the protection of all who followed its guidance. The chamber fell silent. Alien leaders no longer laughed. They no longer whispered with scorn. For the first time, they looked at humanity with measured caution and respect. The age of mockery had ended, and the galaxy realized that humans were not to be underestimated. Myra turned her gaze to the chamber and spoke one last time. "Strength without unity is fragile. Power without purpose is meaningless. Humanity has built its strength in silence, and now you see what patience, perseverance, and cooperation can achieve. Let this be a lesson for every world that doubts us." The council absorbed her words. Even the most arrogant leaders felt the weight of the human demonstration. They understood that Unity's flame was not only a ship but a symbol of what humanity could achieve when it acted together. The test was complete. Humanity had shown the galaxy that it was not weak, that it was not fragile, and that it was capable of standing among the stars with dignity, strength, and honor. And in that moment, every alien voice in the council hall, whether admitting it openly or not, knew that a new era had begun. The silence in the Galactic Council chamber was heavier than any laughter had ever been. Alien leaders who had once mocked humanity now sat in stunned quiet. The enormous human warship, Unity's flame, hovered outside, a testament to patience, unity, and strength. For the first time, no one dared speak without careful thought. Myra stood at the podium, her posture calm, her voice steady. She had seen the reactions in the council before and after the warship appeared. She had known that humanity's demonstration would change everything. Now she watched as alien leaders, one by one, began to process the truth of what they had witnessed. The reptilian commander who had sneered at her weeks ago now rose slowly. His claws tapped against the floor in hesitation. The room fell silent again, every eye on him. "Human envoy," he said, his voice lower than before, "we underestimated your kind. Your strength is real. Your discipline is real. And your patience has created a force that none of us could have imagined. We have mocked humanity for centuries. Today, we admit that our laughter was misplaced." A murmur of agreement spread across the chamber. Other leaders rose to speak, their tone cautious, yet respectful. The crystal-skinned envoy, whose hands had once clapped in derision, now bowed slightly. "Humans have shown what unity can achieve," she said. "We have long valued our power above all. Today, we see that strength can also be measured in perseverance and collaboration. Humanity commands our respect." The avian delegates, usually loud and quick to gesture, remained still. One of their leaders flapped her wings slowly and spoke in a quiet tone. "Your patience has taught us more than any battle ever could. We were blind to the depth of your resolve. Let this moment remind all of us that appearances can be deceiving." Myra listened without interruption. She did not smile or boast. Her calm presence carried the weight of generations who had labored in silence, building the fleet and preparing humanity for the galaxy. Every word she spoke had already been proven by the warship outside. "Thank you," Myra said finally. "Humanity does not seek conquest. We have never sought to dominate or destroy. We built Unity's flame to protect ourselves and to honor the efforts of every human who contributed to it. We hoped that by showing our strength, the galaxy would recognize that we are capable of standing among the stars with dignity. Today, you have seen that proof. Respect is earned, not demanded. And we have earned it." The Speaker of the Council, his staff glowing faintly, rose and addressed the chamber. "Let this day be remembered. Humanity has revealed its power not through aggression but through discipline, patience, and the will to endure. The galaxy must now recognize Earth as a member deserving of respect and careful consideration in all matters. Let no one dismiss them again." Outside the chamber, Unity's flame adjusted its position, engines glowing softly. It had not fired a weapon unnecessarily. It had not destroyed any life. Its display had been precise, controlled, and deliberate. Humanity had chosen to show strength without cruelty, to demonstrate that power could coexist with honor. Within the council chamber, alien delegates whispered among themselves, planning their next moves. Yet none of their words contained mockery. Every conversation carried acknowledgement of humanity's achievements. For the first time, the galaxy truly saw humans as equals. Myra turned to look at the humans observing from their seats in the chamber. Earth's aides and diplomats had held their calm, trusting in her judgment and in the work of generations. Now, pride shone on their faces. The labor of decades, the hidden efforts in the seventh sector, and the sacrifices of countless workers had finally been recognized across the stars. The reptilian commander approached Myra carefully. "Human envoy, it seems we have much to learn from your people. You have changed the council's understanding of strength. Perhaps, in time, humanity and our fleets can work together rather than against one another." Myra nodded. "That is our hope. Respect is the first step. Cooperation and understanding must follow. We have endured mockery and threats, but now we seek a future where our differences are honored and our strengths recognized. Let this day mark the beginning of a new era." The chamber fell quiet again, this time in reflection rather than fear. Alien leaders considered the lessons they had learned. Humanity had proven that unity, patience, and persistence could rival even the most advanced technology and the largest fleets. The age of laughter was over. The age of respect had begun. Unity's flame remained outside, a sentinel of proof, a symbol of a hidden strength now revealed. The galaxy would speak of this day for generations. It would tell of humans who had been underestimated, mocked, and laughed at. It would tell of the human warship that emerged from the seventh sector, not to destroy, but to show the power of a people who refused to bow. Myro left the podium last, her head held high. She had spoken, she had shown the truth, and she had carried the weight of humanity's legacy. The council had learned that humans were no longer shadows. They were equals, and perhaps one day, partners among the stars. And in that moment, every voice in the chamber, whether admitting it or not, recognized that humanity had earned the respect it had long been denied. The galaxy would never forget the day Unity's flame emerged.